Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Signal here and welcome back to another video. Since yesterday some of you got access to an interesting bundle that gave you like 10 artifacts for $1, I think this might be actually the best time to actually make an all artifacts tier list and talk about all of them and what they do roughly. I'm gonna also have in parallel the Injustice Mobile official artifact page, so we can kind of read the description of every single artifact, and I'm going to try to rank them at the best of my ability. Keep in mind, I do not have all of these artifacts. I think there's very few people in Just Mobile that have all of the artifacts, but I'm gonna try my best to rank them. I do have most of them, and not really most of them, most of the good ones, and I kind of am aware of how every artifact performs to an extent, watching other people use it. And yeah, we're gonna have over here 4 tiers. D is filler trash. Everything that's in D means that it was added to the game, so that when you open bundle, you have a chance to get nothing. Only material resources when you shatter that artifact. Then we have C. It does something. Doesn't necessarily do something that's gonna be very good, or does something that it's good but you have better options. Then B, it's sometimes good. Artifacts that you're not gonna use in every single fight, but are situationally good. A, artifacts that are great, and S, artifacts that are the absolute best artifacts in the game. So yeah, let's get into it. First of all blades. I feel like B tier is a fine place for all blades. It's gonna be annoying that they are not exactly... it's not gonna matter only for the Azure artifacts that they're not in this order, because as we go up, they will be like this. So it's gonna be easier to scroll through. But yeah, all blades will give you a bit of attack and will damage you in exchange. Also gives a passive to Red Hood, which is not important that much, though you can put it on Red Hood and get a cheaper special. But yeah, you get some attack at the price of dealing some damage to yourself. This used to be the absolute best artifact in the game, but now we have far better artifacts for dealing damage that are going to come with no downsides, as this does. Though I do like the design to this day of this artifact. It was high risk, high reward. The only problem is the reward is not that high. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put it at C. That's something like, you almost have no reason to use all blades whenever you have Dark Metal cards or Crown, and even in league rates where this artifact used to be very good, you kind of rarely see it used nowadays. It's replaced by Crown or Dark Metal cards on most teams in most situations. So I'm sorry. If you think it deserves to be, that's fair. I'm gonna put it at C. Now let's put it at B. Let's be fair a bit. Then we have the Claw Forest. It's gonna give you some attack. It's a crap amount of attack. It doesn't matter, but it's also gonna give you a chance to stun on your swipe attacks and jump attacks and swipe down attacks. Over here we have this thing, because for some reason they didn't put it on their site yet, but we're gonna get to that. But Claw Force does something. It's not gonna be the best thing, but it does something. So the stun chance, it's basically the selling point of this artifact. You're going to use it when you have an enemy that has a reflective shield, and you're going to be able to stun him on basics. While the enemy stunned, you're going to be able to use specials, and they are not going to be able to reflect them with the reflective shield, though it's very situational and it's not even the best at doing that. Next up we have the Kryptonite Regeneration Matrix. I'm gonna put this at does something. Like, this is something that revives you. You get killed, it revives you. It's very straightforward. And I know we have Nora Snowglobe, who's to an extent a better artifact than this in most situations, but in some situations this is safer to use the Nora Snowglobe actually, because with the Nora Snowglobe and with the clones, you're gonna get some situations where you get killed, then your clone gets killed immediately, then you get killed again, your clone gets killed again, and you're like over there. I'm trying to play the game, I'm trying to actually do something, but here you get revived and you can tag out after it and you stagger the enemy on revive, so... Now, let's put that does something. It's still very situational, and it not having passive stats for any soul rate kind of makes it suck. I'm not gonna go over all the amulets. Filler trash, filler trash, filler trash, filler trash. Briefly about all of them. All of them try to give you damage except for this one in some way. This gives you some health, this gives you some damage on basic hits, this gives you some dot damage, and this gives you some damage on specials. They are by far a very unoptimal way to increase damage. They were not even good only when Azure artifacts were in the game. When only those things were in the game, they were still not good. So yeah. This does something. It increases your healing and increases the healing of the entire team, and you can put it on a second character and have the healing increase for another character. You're not really gonna do that, but hey, at least it does something. This is a health increase and the bad passive for legendaries in arena. Like, nah, bro. Okay, so we're done with this. Those are the artifacts that you're gonna drop a lot, and you're gonna drop from league rates as well. Now let's move on to Dawn of Apocalypse artifacts. Those were the first set of Sorid artifacts introduced to the game, and the only set at this point where the bonuses in terms of health and passive stats don't split to the entire team. I keep opening this. Let me put it on our window so I don't open it anymore by mistake, and we'll get back to that. Okay, so the Heart of Darkness is going to give you some health. It's going to steal the opponent's healing, and it's going to give you some power generation when you get hit by crits. The only place where I have found this useful, but for the enemy, is when I find an enemy that wears it in arena or in Champions Arena. You're not really gonna use it that much, but hey, it does something. Also, I missed an artifact in terms of the Azure artifacts. Let me get down here. Cosmic Staff, it's going to give you shields after you get hit, and the shield is gonna reflect for a while. Again, nah, I'm gonna put that trash. Like, it does something, but it's kind of bad, because this is going to give you somewhat of a shield after you already take damage, which is bad. The only thing that it does, it's kind of annoying when you face against it in Arena and Champions Arena. By the way, I'm going to mainly focus on Raids and Soul Raids, okay? Because those are Raids and Soul Raids artifacts. That's the purpose of them. If they are good in Arena and Champions Arena, that's great, but that's a secondary purpose, and it's far less important. Let's get back to Dawn of Apocalypse artifacts. Okay, so we have the Electroaxe. Stealing combo meter is useless. Damage to summons is useless. You're gonna get some power bars when you knock out an opponent and some health. Bro, this page keeps getting messed up. I'm very sorry, guys. I'm terribly sorry. It does something, okay? It does somewhat of a something. But it is not good, because you have a lot of the only selling point of this artifact is that amount of power generation that you get when killing summons, and that's going to be very specific, and you have better things to do that with. Next up we have the Radion. Breaks barriers with ranged attacks, which is kind of useless. Bonus damage on ranged attacks is kind of useless, and reducing the opponent's defense for 5 seconds on swipes. That's something. It does something. It's situationally useful, and you're most likely not going to use it often, even if you have it, but hey, it does something. Next up we have the Fodder Box. The Fodder Box is going to heal you when you fall below a certain amount of health, and it's quite a lot of healing. It's going to prevent you well from dying, disables negative effects on you, it's going to give you some damage on rush attacks, and the teleport attack is going to allow you to get infinite combos on characters. I would say it's something good. Again, you don't have to have this artifact. You're eventually gonna get it because it's one of the free artifacts. You get a nice infinite combo on Dr. Fate, but I don't feel like it's that impactful, okay? I don't feel like it's that impactful. Next up, we have the Mega Rods. The Mega Rod is going to give you basically, the enemy is going to power steal you, right, with the hazards. We have hazards, for example, in Phase 3 in League Raids, or against Boss Green Lantern in Soul Raids, or everywhere where there's stuff on the ground that damages you and power drains you. With this equipped, you just sit in the power drain hazard, and instead of you getting power drained, you're going to power steal from the opponent, which is something. We got better things at doing this, and this needs to be quite high level to be effective, so I don't like it. So it does something, but not something good. And last but not least, we get the Entropy, which is going to prevent you from taking damage higher than a certain amount of your health in one instance. It's gonna decrease the hazard dot damage and the hazard dot damage secondary effects. So yet again, hazard fights, like the Green Lantern fight we talked about, you're going to sit in that hazard, and with some resistance in your talents, because they get put on top of each other, you're going to take no dot damage and you're barely gonna get power drains. It's sometimes good, okay? It is sometimes good. Next up, we have the Rise of Krypton artifacts. A Kryptonite knife is going to give you a crit chance on basic hits and crit damage. Filler trash. How about you put your crit chance and crit damage on the build and also have them on specials? Imagine that. Next up, we have the Flashing Blades. It's going to give you a damage boost on basic attack hits for each buff on the opponent. And you're going to get some healing whenever the opponent applies a buff to themselves. We haven't seen this useful at all, and I would put it at filler trash, but nowadays I haven't seen it tried against some bosses that buff themselves a lot. Like Black Adam, Zatanna, some of the bosses in the new soul raids. Let's put it at does something, because it does something, and it might be something if somebody gets to try it. I shattered it myself, I no longer have it, but I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and put it that does something for now, though it's most likely filler trash, okay? Kryptonite Spear is the free artifact, and it's gonna give you some healing, though not the best healing, and it's gonna give you a way to bypass reflective shields because it gives you unblockable on a special that's done when you have above a certain amount of combos. So, sometimes good. This artifact is actually situationally good, okay? Then we have the LexCorp suit. LexCorp suit is going to give you armor pierce on special. It's going to give you a nice shield that protects yourself after you use a special, and it's going to give you something that prevents debuffs from being added to you. This is basically the pay-to-win artifact that's used to counter Boss Collector Ward Superman to an extent. Because now he's also got reflective shield, so that's another thing to deal with. Sometimes good, I guess. And we have the Beta Club. It's gonna give you dot damage on basic hits, and that dot damage is going to scale with a lot of things. This is the most broken artifact in the game. Gonna be an easy S tier. It's a must-have artifact. If you have it, upgrade it as soon as possible and use it with Kimflan Suckman plus Raven or with Mr. Freeze plus Raven. Just try to multiply your damage a lot. Just search for new to Beta Club teams or Beta Club if you randomly drop this artifact. Trust me, it's great. Might not seem like it because it requires something, or a Batman Ninja team use it. It requires something rather specific to trigger it, but boy, on the teams that this works, this absolutely slaps. Kryptonite Bullets. Chance to power drain 3 power bars on ranged attacks, and special damage against opponents with less than 5 power bars. This is filler trash. Again, something that you're gonna buy. You see Kryptonite Bullets, and you say, oh, I got nothing. Kryptonite Ring is going to have a chance to disable an opponent's special and give you power generation. It disables the third special in the super move. Does something, but you would want to use this in fights where the enemy is gonna kill you with a super move, right? But at the same time, this is gonna have a 100% chance to trigger this effect only at level 10. So you can't use it for that because you need something reliable if you're gonna get killed by super move. I don't know, man. I really want to put this and does something, but I feel like filler trash is more of a proper spot for it. Matelo's Powered Swords. You're going to be resistant to stuns and dots, and you're going to gain some power bars when it happens. And when blocking an incoming special, some garbage happens that you shouldn't really care about. It does something. It's basically another version of the rods. Those two artifacts, you're going to see that the rod theme that deals with hazards in various ways, it's going to be reoccurring a lot. And any artifacts that you have out of those are gonna be decent at handling that, okay? Okay, what else do we have here? The gloves. Kryptonite gloves. They're gonna give you damage reduction from blocking, which is totally useless, and 75% damage for basic hits and swipes. That's very little damage. This is filler trash. Like, nah, bro. If you want damage, you have so many better options. And Astro Harness, that's gonna give you a beam that deals damage when you tag in. This can be used, I'm gonna put it at trash filler, I just don't want you using it. This can do something. In Arena and Champions Arena, if you want to speedrun the fights, you put this on a very high health character, and you know how the Champions Arena teams can at points be very bad. and very low health, you just speedrun Champions Arena with this. But there's a chance, and this still occurs, that you can get banned for doing this. So don't. Just don't. Just don't even try. And we're done with the Rise of Krypton artifacts. Moving on. The Advent of Chaos artifacts, the Chakra artifact. This is bad. The passive is bad. This is a terrible way to heal and a terrible way to gain damage. And even when you do gain that damage, it's gonna be bad damage. I'm gonna put it that does something only because you might have to upgrade this. You might have to upgrade this because this might be your only Chaos artifact. And I want you to prioritize upgrading it over a lot of other artifacts in Advent of Chaos, because there's gonna be a lot of filler trash there, and this is gonna give you high passive stats. Basically, for high passive stats, the only options that you have is upgrading this for Trigon Staff. If you have Trigon Staff, definitely upgrade the Trigon Staff. If you don't have Trigon Staff, then this is going to be the way to go. Yeah, the candle disables one of your random specials on tagging, and it's gonna give you some damage and some power generation. This is filler trash. I don't want any of my specials disabled. Imagine being like, oh, I'm gonna get some damage for my Silver Banshee. You tag her in with this and the third special is disabled. Well, good luck with that. And we have so many better ways of dealing damage nowadays. The shotgun. Ace of Wincesters. Damage on ranged attacks. Ranged attacks are unblockable, and more damage when the opponent's health is below a certain amount. This is filler trash. When this released, you could make an argument of, could be good on some characters, could be doing something. But again, we got so many better options as far as damage dealing goes. You just never want to use this. The Book of Souls is gonna increase the debuff timer, and it's gonna increase the duration. It's gonna increase the stun duration and other debuffs applied by you. This is filler trash. No, you're not gonna get good results out of increasing the stun duration for Arkham Knight Batman with this. It's not gonna be good. It's not worth justifying, because you're not gonna put this on your damage dealer, and it's not worth justifying putting this on your combo builder or on anybody else, because generally speaking, you want more passive stats. So it's just useless. It's going to increase damage from incoming specials, and whenever you block a special, it's gonna give you some power bars. I guess, nah. You could use this in League Raid, since you don't take the downside of not having passive stats in that slot, but honestly, you most likely have a better option at that point. Chance to resist power drain and more special damage. I'm gonna put this at trash. This is kind of in the same team as those two, dealing with hazards on the ground mainly, but this is just worse at it. Philosopher's Stone, 100% chance to mitigate 30% damage from specials while blocking, and will heal with this for the certain amount of the damage mitigated. Keep in mind, at lower level, this is not a 100% chance to mitigate 30% of the block special damage. Nah, bro. Filler trash. The Trigon Staff. This is gonna be absolutely useless in Raids and Swords, but boy, this is possibly the best artifact in the entire game for Arena and Champions Arena. It's gonna give you a shield that's going to heal you after you block a special. It's gonna reflect to the enemy. I literally have a video where I fight in Arena, and it was before some certain updates where you could win by timeouts, and I just put, I think, my phone on the space bar of the PC so I could constantly block. I went to the I started the arena fights, had this artifact equipped on somebody, I put my phone to press space, I take a piss, I come back, the fight is won. I'm gonna put it at I mean, we gave it to LexCorp Warset, we might as well give it to this. And a very good selling point of this is that this is something you actually can make some use of if it's upgraded, and it gives you a high amount of passive stats, which is a better option than Chakra. Sword of Salvation. This is gonna give you a chance to power steal 3 power bars, and gonna give you some damage for each absent power bar that the opponent is missing, basically. The damage part is not the best thing in the world, but the power steal, boy, you have never seen such fast power generation in your life. great. This is a great artifact. Great for gaining a lot of power real fast. Sword of Sin. Sword of Sin is going to constantly power drain the enemy, and it's going to inflict burning on him. You're basically gonna render the enemy useless as far as they are able to do anything. You put this on Raven, you use special 1, and for the entirety of that fight, that enemy is not gonna do anything to you. And on top of that, you also burn them. I feel like I'm gonna put the Sword of Salvation here. It's sometimes good. This is a lot of times not really justifiable missing out on passive stats to put it on your combo builder. While the Sword of Sin a lot of times is. I feel like we need to make that differentiation here. And also drop this down. I'm sorry, but it's the way it is. And yeah, those are the all of those artifacts. Now moving on, the last contract artifacts. First up, I have the God Killer. The God Killer. Look, some of you wanted me. I made a list about the free artifacts, and some of you that said that you don't know how to combo interrupt or you can't combo interrupt because of lag, and you said that the God Killer is going to actually be a pretty good artifact to put in your combo builder to have an infinite combo that way. Also, you can put it on Battle on the Drowned, have an infinite combo, have a good time. This is gonna disable the enemy's block, right? And you're gonna be able to keep hitting them, and they're not gonna be able to do anything. Okay, fair point. Let's put it at great and move on. I would really put it at that B tier, to be honest, to be fair with you all. So, okay, let's give it A tier. Let's give it A tier. You guys complain less about artifacts being too high and more about artifacts being too low. Let's put that A tier. Promethean Knife. Lethal chance on basic hits and lethal damage on basic hits. I'm gonna put it that does something. You're unlikely to ever use this, but this is one of the... Actually, no. Filler trash. You're not gonna be able to make this work. This is just simply not gonna be good and not gonna work as far as damage dealing goes. Even though it could in theory, when you think about it, work in practice, it doesn't. The Speed Force Battery. And I tend to apply a negative effect to the wearer triggers. When I start to read them, I actually don't remember what they do. So in attempt to apply a negative effect to the wearer triggers, the 15 seconds buff, which prevents negative effects from being applied, restores 3 power bars for every effect prevented, and the buff lasts a certain amount of time, and fast stack chance for a certain amount of seconds. The fast stack chance is useless, because if you want fast stack chance, you put it on a damn build. But canceling out debuffs can be useful, so I guess it does something. We got the boots. 100% for tag attack to be unblockable and have increased damage and reduced tagging cooldown. Oh boy, trash. No, please stop adding stuff like that. Energy Lance, a chance to apply stun with successful special, and the chance, crit chance for, this is useless, 1 crit chance put on the build, and a chance to stun after special. I guess it does something. I've seen it being situationally useful, but overall, nah, bro. We get the Promethean grenades. You get the chance to apply blind when using some specials, and you're going to increase the opponent's special cost when applying blind. Filler trash, you're never going to use this, this is useless. The Promethean Sword is going to give you some damage on basic attack hits, and it's going to be a stacking buff like the Manta buff is, and these successful specials prevent the opponent from tagging out. Look, I've seen this used at somewhat efficiency, where I could see that it does something, but it's not something. Bro, nah, I feel too bad about putting this in the same tier as All Blades. This whole video is gonna be the All Blades question. Do we leave the All Blades here with all this kind of trash artifacts? But at the same time, it's no longer doing that much. Icon Suit, 100% of dot heals you instead of taking damage. And when you drop below a certain amount of health, you get invulnerability. And it's gonna be on a cooldown that resets. So this can trigger in theory endlessly. Though not really, because there's an end timer on the battle. B tier, I guess, because it does something, though it's worse than the Trigon Staff to an extent. This is better than the Trigon Staff when it's put on a defensive theme. In Arena Champions or in Arena, sorry, it's kind of useless. But it's something that also have high passive stats, so you might want to upgrade. Again, this is more like kind of me trying to explain the upgrade order than really trying to rank the artifacts properly. Because my goal with this is not necessarily to have the absolute best opinion and the most agreed on opinion, is to give you a good perspective on the order in which you should upgrade your artifacts. I guess we can leave it here. What else do we have here? The mask, blocking specials, decrease opponent's damage, and the chance for certain specials to not have a power. Nah, filler trash, I'm sorry. And the nunchucks. The nunchucks are going to give you some fast attack damage, and it's going to block the, if I have a 50% chance to block the opponent's power generation with the successful fast attack, and they're going to do a lot of attacks, so the blocking of power generation is going to be something that occurs quite a lot, so I guess it does something. Yet again, it does something, can do something. I've seen it used in phase 4. Is not the best thing, but it does something. Let me get some hydration before I get into the Dark Knight's artifacts. Oh boy, water is so underrated. So, the Dark Knight's artifacts. Black Kryptonite. Where you can use their specials for free after reaching 20 combo. Can avoid breaking the opponent's combo meter when hit. You're just not gonna get hit, okay? And the chance to... with the first 3 specials, you have a chance to not lose the combo, I guess. You're speedrunning some specials at the start of the fight, and then it doesn't do that much. Let's put it that does something, okay? It's not great, but it does something. We have the Joker's Venom. While the opponent is tagged in, their attack and defense are decreased up to 90%. And there's a chance that the opponent fails it. I'm gonna put this at filler trash because I'm mad at it. I randomly dropped it. I was quite excited about it. It seems like an interesting concept. But the problem is, and this is why I hate this artifact, you put it on a character, right? You apply Venom to the opponent. That Venom is active only while the character that's wearing this artifact is in the fight. When that character tags out, the Venom disappears. My dude just randomly is no longer poisoned. He's chilling, but as soon as he sees the person who wears this artifact again, he's poisoned yet again. Where in the world does this make sense? Jokerized Batrangs. It's going to apply poison to the enemy, and while they are poisoned, you're going to inflict 200% more damage with your basic hits, which is great. Is very good artifact. I'm gonna put it at the best. This is very good on Manta. This is very good on Batman Ninja Team, and this is yeah, that's kind of about it. You can, I guess, use it on King plus Raven to an extent, so you have better options. It's kind of rough with this, because this is a good artifact, though in some situations the free artifacts are better than it, so it's very weird. But at the same time, it's a very good artifact, also gives you some additional fast attack hits. It's also kind of bugged, because at level 10, you get 3 fast attack hits, right? The maximum is 4, and the base for kind of all characters is at the very least 2, so you're never gonna get all 3 fast attack hits on any character. It's a weird artifact. Okay, let's put it at A tier. It's kind of specific use to an extent. Look, I'm gonna do a little bit of a switcheroo here. Now let's leave the Sword of Salvation here. He deserves A tier. Let's also leave the God Killer. Okay, so we have the Sharp Tongue. 100% of damage taken from block specials transforms into dot and is inflicted, and more damage over... Nah, this is filler garbage. The Sharp Tongue never build this. The Catchy Hook. Every attack blocked by the wearer increases the damage by 20% for 12 seconds, stacks up to 10 times. Every portion of damage taken by the wearer increases their defense. Nah, bro. This wants you to constantly block to get the damage increase, but it also expects you to hit the enemy to use that damage increase. And yet again, we have so many better ways to deal damage. Filler trash. Next up, we have the Targaryen Mace. You're going to deal 6.5% for each 2% of wearer's defense. 6.2 more damage. So if you have 75% defense, hold on. Hold on a second. You know it's bad when I pull out the calculator. You're gonna have, with this passive event, you're gonna have by default 75% defense. We divide this by 2 because it's for every 2%, and we multiply it by 6.5, and it's gonna be 243 damage increase. You have Dark Metal cards, we have Crown. Both of them give you more damage. So I'm going to put it that does something, but again, we have better options. It's one of those artifacts where if we didn't have better options, it would be pretty good. But there's better options and there's 3 better options. This is a pay-to-win artifact. Prime Aligan is going to give you a chance to get a damage buff or a debuff. I liked it. I like the idea of this artifact. It's like playing Russian roulette. You might get the damage buff, you might get the debuff, but the values on it are pretty damn garbage. I would have loved if this was the best artifact in the game at dealing damage, and everybody would deal with the random Russian roulette chance of getting damage or getting... Maybe even getting damaged would be nice instead of that, but the form it is in right now, it's filler trash. I do like the idea. We have the Rib Tickle. 14 seconds of unblockable on basic attacks after successfully blocking opponent's specials, and you're gonna have a damage buff while this is active. This is filler trash. We have the Hand of Zatanna. Hand of Zatanna is going to give you some damage when you inflict a negative effect on the opponents. And it's going to be 300% damage against the opponents. Damage against the opponent is generally very good. But the debuff that it inflicts on the opponent is going to be a very bad debuff, because it's going to disable a lot of things, like basics, swipes, jump ups. And you get to a point where the only option that the enemy has against you is to use a special or block. And there's 2 things that you don't want the enemy doing: use a special or block. So this debuff literally puts the opponent in the worst possible state they could be in for some damage. Look, it does something. I've seen it used on League of Anarchy to a decent extent, and maybe even something good. Nah, it does something. We have so many better options, like for real, just use Crown. It's giving you more damage than this without that crap effect. Though it's worth mentioning that this also is going to, by applying the debuff once, get rid... Nah, I guess something good, because this might be a bug, but it's been in the game for a very long time, so I'm going to account for it. When you have the opponents that change classes, and it can be very annoying in old soul raids where they also have the animation for it, if you apply the negative effect with this once, they are no longer going to change class. They are going to change it one more, but then no longer. You have the Dark Metal cards, increases your crit damage cap, gives you crit damage, and allows you to negate crit resistance and have a chance to negate crit immunity. S tier, one of the best artifacts in the entire game. Now, we're going to get into the Zatanna Sorid artifacts. There's going to be a lot of fillers here. So first of all, Illusionist cards. You're going to have a chance to apply blind to the enemy after using a swipe, and you're going to get more damage against blinded opponents. Filler trash. What do we have next? Puppet of Zatanna. This is going to give you some attack, and usually you don't want to get attack, but this is a lot of attack, so when you have very low passive stats overall, at the beginning of a story, this can be very good. Also, it's going to put a negative effect on the opponent, and if you have at least 5 of them, you're going to get infinite power, and you're going to be able to use specials faster. This is quite hard to trigger, but when you actually trigger it, it's going to be quite amazing, and it's very good on some things. So I feel like I'm going to put this at A tier. It's a great artifact overall. Next up, we have the Boutonniere. More damage after super move. Less damage from the opponent's super move, bro. They are really running out of ideas at this point. Junior Magic Kit is going to give you crit resistance and is going to lower the opponent's crit resistance. Why? What is the purpose of adding this artifact that you can pay money for that can lower the opponent's crit resistance after to 50%? That stacks up to 50%, where you have this that guarantees you to bypass the crit resistance. Killer trash. The Book of Zatanna is gonna apply dots when you use specials, and I first thought that this would be something similar to Beta Club, but it isn't. It does something, I guess, but I've never seen this artifact used to a great extent. The Talisman of Atlantis will lock the opponent's power generation for 8 seconds after successful special, and you're gonna get some power generation while it's active. That's something, not the best thing at that, but it does something. Also, we get an Imposter here. I have an Imposter Amogus. That's from the On Ice Sorid. Next up, we have the Soul Crystal. Soul Crystal is going to give you a chance to reflect damage from specials and get 1 power bar if the damage wasn't reflected. Reflect burns and stuff. This is basically the artifact and more damage for a certain amount of seconds after you reflect the negative effect. This is an artifact that was made to counter boss Zatanna. You don't really need it, so I'm gonna put it at C. It does something, it's not something good. We got the Magic Ball. Fast stack chance and fast stack damage, trash, filler trash. You're going to have 3 artifacts here that are related to fast stack chance and fast stack damage, and the problem with that is they're not going to do different things, they're going to do kind of the same things, but some of them are going to be better than others. Okay, what's next? The Magic Staff. This is going to give you 3% of permanent damage bonus for each combo meter above 30 for fast stack chance hits, stacks up to 300%. This gives you up to 300% more damage. It's going to stack with fast stack chance. This gives you fast stack chance. I think it bypasses the cap, and every 30 combo gives you +1 fast stack hits. I'm gonna put it that does something. When this released, I was actually really looking forward to seeing people use this to great extent, but I haven't really seen it. I'm gonna put it that does something, but I'm going to briefly mention that might be better than I think it is. I just haven't seen it used to great extent. And yeah, that's all the Zatanna Sorid artifacts. I guess we got through them very fast with the lots of filler trash ones. Next up, the Cryo artifact. 3 more sets, okay? We can do this. We can do this. I locked the cat in the kitchen because he was just running around the entire house and I couldn't record a video. And now I think he's literally, by the sound of it, throwing all the sand in the litter box throughout the entire kitchen as retaliation for locking him there. Nevertheless, let's keep going. Pure Serum. 20% of max health heal over 5 seconds after any hero is knocked out. Damage over time resistance, stun resistance, filler trash. If you want dot resistance and stun resistance, get it on the talents. And the heal when a character is knocked out is just useless. Cryo Engine. Chance to apply Unbreakable on special for Unblockable. No, Unbreakable. What was... Oh, Unbreakable is a chance to ignore damage from basic hits and ranged attacks. And some power generation. Well, that's... Okay, I guess it does a thing. You're never gonna use this, but it like does a thing. So I guess it's filler trash at the same time. I don't know, man. The Polar Slippers, I really hope this would be good, but it's not. You're gonna get unhittable after tagging. This is funny because you want us to make taggings that are actually successful and don't get interrupted. How about you buy this artifact and fix that problem? The immunity to freeze, this is filler trash, but I really like the Polar Slippers. They're cute, but they're not good. The Cryo Battery is going to give you a chance to power lock for 4 seconds after a successful special, and it's going to give you some power generation. I'm going to put this as filler trash because This is literally a worse version of this, and this is also a worse version of this. So at this point, it's getting just out of hands. I feel like I missed some artifact from the Zatanna Sorid, because there was another one that gave you best actions. Yeah, the Magician's Cape. I don't have the Magician's Cape anywhere. So brief mention about this. It's bad. It's a worse version of Magic Wands. Either does something or filler trashed here. Next up we have North Snow Globe. North Snow Globe is great. Like that's going to give you a clone, it's going to give you healing, it's going to give you attack. That clone is going to be able to use specials that you have, and he's very good with Kimflan, Sakoman, and Deathstroke, and it's going to give you a 3-star Deathstroke with no gears against the 2 billion fight. This is going to do with proper gameplay 1.4 billion damage. It's very, very good in terms of that, but I'm going to give it 8 here. Might be mad at me, but it's only 8 here because it's only usable on 2 characters in the entire game. I guess you could use it on Robin King, but that's hell of unoptimal. It can be used on Raven to get some healing. It's a good artifact, okay? But I don't feel like it's S tier goods. What else do we have here? The goggles. Chance to apply blind for 15 seconds after successfully blocking a special. And crit chance against blinded opponents. Filler trash. Thermal gloves is gonna apply burning on Taggin, and it's going to give you some damage against burn targets. It does something, okay? I actually own this artifact, it does something. It's not something good, but it does something. Next up, the cryogenic handheld. It's going to give you a chance to freeze for 3 seconds after each third combo hit, and it's gonna heal 3 power bars by freezing. I've seen some pretty interesting gameplay with this. It seems fun, it does something, it's not good. Freeze grenades. It's gonna apply Snowstorm. Snowstorm is gonna remove opponent's positive effects. You're gonna get attack against Snowstorm applied enemies. And there is a chance to freeze after successful special. Look, it has a lot of text, okay? I even own this artifact, it does something. Not something good, but it does something. What else do we have? The spider. This one actually is going to have a chance to remove hazard by stepping on it, and that's for example where it's going to be a permanent removal. And it's gonna spawn an area that heals you. But yeah, the removal hazard is pretty good. You put this on a character, you tag him in, you step on hazards that you want removed, and they're gonna have a chance to be removed. So I'm gonna put it that sometimes good, okay? Sometimes good. Next up, contact artifacts. We have this thing. Where is it? 100% of damage over time is accumulated and can be dealt back to the opponents. Oh yeah, I know this. So basically this artifact is going to give you some dots through some various weird ways. And it's gonna stack it up and then release it all at once against the enemy. So all you need to know about this artifact is trash on most characters. It's gonna give you some huge one-shots 2 billion values on League of Anarchy plus Raven. But you don't really need that, because League of Anarchy plus Raven can one-shot anyway. So sometimes good, I guess. Maybe there are more uses that I haven't seen as this artifact, but it's sometimes good, okay? I think this delivered the highest single value damage I have ever seen in the history of Injustice Immobile, but yet again, it's something that is heavily specific. Orb of Ra. Plus 50% defense per use special ability, stacks up to 5 times, and it's going to heal you for 1% of defense while you're tagged out. I'm sorry, filler trash. Contact Roller Rope. Fast attack chance on swipes and tag attacks, and where fast attack damage is converted into absorption shield capacity. You have fast attack chance immunity. I guess absorption shield capacity is nice. I think it's might be something like the Green Lantern shield, or you might still get staggered while you get hit while that's active. I don't know. I don't have the artifact. Let's put it that does something. The Clockwork Camel, this is an artifact that I do like the design of, I do like the name of. It's absolute garbage. When blocking a special, you're going to apply burn, and you have burn immunity. You don't want to rely on blocking specials or anything that the opponent does for you to be able to do something. Filler trash. We have far better artifacts that do the same thing. The Little Pyramid spreads 40% of received damage between teammates, and when your wearer has less than 50% health, and 70% of the team's maximal health regenerated after super move. This is filler trash. Next up, Statues of the God. 50% chance to steal 2 power bars while the successful with the successful base attack. 7% chance for every filled opponent's power bars. So you're gonna steal some power bars, and the more power bars the opponent has, the higher chance of stealing them you're gonna have. And you're gonna get some damage buff for 19 seconds when targeted by power drain attacks, and you're gonna have power drain immunity and stuff like that. Yeah, the power steal is a less optimal version of the Sword of Salvation. The damage buff is very unoptimal to trigger, and the immunity is nice, I guess. So we're gonna put that does something. Crown of Conduct gives you damage, a lot of damage. Gives you chance to get a refund on all the power bars you spend on a special if you're above a certain combo. S tier, one of the best artifacts in the entire game, no question about it. We have the Bastet Mask, mitigate 100% of swipe attack damage, and 50% blind resistance. They're trash. The Amulet of Ashut. This does something. It's gonna spawn a hazard that deals some damage, not good damage, and you're gonna receive the rest damage while you're in it. And yeah, it does do something. It's not good, but it does something. Let's put it that does something and move on. I don't really like this artifact, but hey, it's better than a lot of trash in here. At least they're somewhat trying with this. The Ankh is gonna have 8% health regenerated when power is drained from the wearer, and plus 40 healing bonus. Filler trash. Now let's move on to the last thing that I put in a different window so I don't keep opening it. The Twisted Artifacts. Wait. I want to get this, put it back here. Bro, what? Okay, screw it. I literally can't do that. I can't do that, so we're going to minimize this. I'm literally inept. Okay, so can I have it like this? So I can drag it from the different window to pop up. So the anti-living seeds, first of all. The anti-living seeds are going to be something that's going to inflict silence for 20 seconds after successful specials, where the opponent can't buff themselves. More damage against silenced opponents, but only for specials. And you're gonna get basically a Norse Snow Globe effect. And the clones are gonna be, I guess, a bit stronger than the Norse Snow Globe effect clones. Yeah, it's weird. It's a Norse Snow Globe copy-paste, which is gonna do a bit better than Norse Snow Globe, but at the same time I'm gonna put it lower than Norse Snow Globe because it's a pay-to-win artifact. And this is free. And this also gives you some nice healing. So let's put it at something good. So don't go out of your way to get it if you don't have it already. Next up we have the Atez Beam. Gear set bonus and gear effect disable immunity trash. Like, this is an easy one. Next up we have the Harley's Mallet. Apply chance to stun for 6 seconds after opponents tag in and damage against stunned opponents. I'm gonna put this at does something because I guess it would be interesting and maybe good in Ring 9 Champions Arena, but overall not great or too useful in other places. Next up, we have the Mortal Coil. Inflicts burn for 18 seconds after spending 7 power bars. And a chance for basics and swipes to become unblockable against burning opponents. Nah, bro. We have so many artifacts that inflict burning. This is the last thing you want to use at this point. Just don't. So after a short break, because my kitchen flooded because the sink broke, I'm back. So we were at the knife thing. So the knife thing, where did I even put the knife thing? There we go, it's here. For some reason I have an additional crown, just don't mind it. But yeah, the knife is going to basically give you a chance to get a free special after tagging, which is not great. It's going to destroy active shields and barriers, and successful specials are going to decrease opponents' defense and block effectiveness by 10%, and it stacks up to 8 times. Stealing block effectiveness is useless. You should not hit the opponent while they're blocking. And defense is okay. I mean, it has some defense reduction, gets rid of shields, chance for special for free, and gives you some power bars. You will most likely never use this, but again, it kind of does something, okay? Next up, we got this thing, Particle Accelerator. Blocked attacks increase the error's combo meter by 3. Each 7 successful basic or swipe attacks provoke an explosion that deals some damage equal to the wearer's attack stats. And you're going to also inflict power drain immunity after 10 seconds. It's weird that it says inflict, because inflicted means you're inflicting something on the enemy. If you're giving them power drain immunity, then that's kind of bad. But if you're giving yourself, that's okay, I guess. Again, I haven't really tested this out, but it doesn't seem to do much damage. I think I've seen somebody try and use this. It's something similar to the Elder Swamp Thing passive in that regard. So yeah, it's gonna be does something here. So after the third interruption, because my dad came over to help me fix the sink, I was talking about these sites. So I might have been a bit mean to these sites. The problem with this is, it's gonna give you damage. It's gonna give you a lot of damage. At level 10, up to 400% damage. The problem with that is that you're reliant on the enemy. Because to get this damage, you need to interrupt the special. And I've seen fights where you go all the way until the last minute of the fight and you haven't had the occasion to interrupt the special 4 times to get the full buff. The damage when you interrupt the special is not going to be great or optimal to use, and lower power bar cost and the ability itself to interrupt, it's going to be good. And this artifact is pretty good on Zatanna, I'm not gonna lie, it seems pretty good on Zatanna. So overall, I think it deserves the sometimes good tier. You're going to upgrade this for the specific soul rate that it is in, but it's not going to be the best thing in the world. At the same time, keep in mind that if we didn't have Dark Metal Crown, Dark Metal cards, Crown of Conduct, or other good damage dealing artifacts, this might have scored higher, because getting more damage is generally speaking very good. But because we do have those, it doesn't have that much of a purpose. Next up, what do we have next? The Sound of Robin King. Apply stun for 3 seconds after successful special, and duration of stun spells 50%. You're unlikely to ever find use of this. Maybe in Arena and Champions Arena, but I don't care. I mean, it does something. It gives you the straight up ability to stun on any special. Use this in Raids and Soul Raids. I guess it does something because it feels somewhat of a niche. But it also feels like a filler artifact. Spawns a Toxic Hazard with 150% of wearer's attack stat for 9 seconds after 2 successful specials, and reduces the opponent's defense by 15%. All in the Toxic Hazard. The thing is, we have the Kryptonite ring, which also spawns the hazard with higher damage than this thing. Well, this is literally a worse version than the Trinity rings. I call it Krypton rings. It's literally a worse version of the Trinity rings, and the Trinity rings are not even that great, so I'm going to call this filler trash. I'm sorry. And the last artifact, the Trinity rings, they're gonna spawn a hazard, and this is amazingly garbage. So I had very high expectations for this because it does hazard a lot of damage, so that's better on the ground, and that was good. I suppose this would be good. But the damage of the hazard is not that high. It's a bit inconvenient to trigger. The enemy is gonna constantly jump out of it, and it spawns all over the place. I've literally seen this spawn a hazard outside of the combat zone where the enemy has 0% chance to ever be or ever encounter. Again, might get fixed in the future. For now, it's gonna be into the does something tier. But other than that, it's not something great. So yeah, that's about it for the tier list with all the artifacts in Just 2 Mobile. I tried to do this to the best of my ability. Obviously, some of you guys, or maybe all of you guys, will not agree with certain choices, so feel free to leave them in the comments. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Like the reflected, dislike the selected, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye!